When a mysterious girl with amazing powers goes missing, will an older and more broken down Matt Murdock be able to pull it together and ride one last time? Or will friends and foes from his golden age ultimately spell his undoing? Well, let's hop into the pages of Daredevil Cold Day in Hell issue number 2 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, this issue picks up not long after the events of the first. Matt Murdock is on the roof listening to the bells of St. Peter's Cathedral with his newly reactivated super hearing. The only problem is Matt already admits these powers are starting to go in and out. He feels he's probably only got a couple days tops before he's back to being the broken down old man he was before, but it seems that somehow, some way, maybe God has given him this opportunity to don the mask and fight for what's right once again, mainly saving that young girl that Steve Rogers was willing to sacrifice his own life in order to protect. Now, if you'll recall, at the end of the previous issue, we saw Matt don the costume, but we didn't actually get to see what it looked like as the whole thing was hidden in silhouette. Well, in this issue, we understand why, as in a beautiful artistic take. Matt's old Daredevil suit is completely stitched up from top to bottom as if it was literally falling apart before he put it on, and I mean, let's face it, probably was. It's a really small but really affecting change to the costume and just another reason that this book is so art forward. Now, after that, we check on in with Old Man Bullseye at his hideout. He's screwing with a radio looking for any information on that missing girl that his goons failed to capture. In fact, the old supervillain looks to punish one of his misbehaving henchmen by throwing one of those acupuncture needles at his eye. He misses the eye completely and only ends up giving him one hell of an ear piercing. A very solid confirmation that the once greatest marksman in the Marvel Universe is falling far below his old codename and job description. Now hey, what about that girl from the previous issue? She's on the run following Steve Rogers' death and living on the streets. We later learn her name is Tyra, and she's no ordinary girl at all. She has powers. But not just any powers either. She can generate amazing sources of light so powerful it ends up, get this, absolutely blinding anyone who looks directly at her. So yeah, this is definitely 100% a job for Daredevil. Matt makes the scene not long after and counsels a bunch of the people who have lost their sight. He says that it's just a case of flash blindness, and that all their sight should return after a bit of healing. Of course, these people are so absolutely despondent over the loss of their sight, there's no consoling them. As Matt says, what, is it so bad being blind? Following this display of power, Tyra is unfortunately long gone, but Matt is able to find her book bag and follow her tracks. Sadly, old man Daredevil isn't nearly as fast as he used to be, and Bullseye's goons manage to grab her with the use of a radio device that picks up on her unique nuclear signal. Ah, you mean like the radiation blast from the previous issue that reactivated Daredevil's powers and even the nuclear isotope that blinded him in the first place? I don't want to get too far ahead of this one, but I'm slowly but surely starting to see where all of this is going. Now, with few leads and little options left, old man Daredevil decides to look up an even older friend in the form of Foggy Nelson, who is still very much alive in this dark future. I don't know why I assumed he would die young, I just did. Foggy is absolutely overjoyed not only to see his friend Matt, considering that they haven't seen each other for a long time, but also to see him back in the Daredevil costume again with his powers. It seems that in this strange future, with this mysterious war with the still yet to be defined DBs, a lot of heroes lost their amazing powers, not just Matt. There's also an implication too that Matt ended up walking away not just from the superhero life, but from practicing law entirely because of something horrible he did, something involving himself, Elektra, and the Kingpin. And that again, maybe, just maybe, God is giving him the opportunity to atone for past sins. Matt ends up leaving Foggy with a book he found in the girl's effects, one that belonged to Steve Rogers and one that he thinks can blow this case wide open, while he ends up trying to pick up the bad guys' trail, particularly the trail they left behind in the ambulance they've been tear-assing around town in. By the time Daredevil finds the goon squad, they're already celebrating a job well done. Apparently, Bullseye was very happy to have the girl brought to him, and because of that, these guys all now officially think they're on Easy Street. That is, of course, until Daredevil makes the scene, and in a very fun bit of writing, most of these henchmen are way too damn young to ever even have heard of Daredevil, and because of that, they end up rushing him completely unafraid. We get a very fun little action scene where in his internal monologue, Matt admits that his old body is screaming at him right now, that back in the day he would have been able to mop these guys up no problem. But now it's more of a crapshoot than ever. It's up to the hand of fate, and Daredevil hopes that now isn't the time that fate is going to punch his ticket. Thankfully for Matt, though, he has a guardian angel who ends up interceding on his behalf. Well, maybe guardian devil, depending on how you define it. Of course, course I'm talking about Elektra, who has aged pretty damn well. As if to say, not at all, she ends up tearing her way through the thugs, proclaiming herself to be an absolute beast, which I feel has to be more of a coded reference to classic Daredevil foe and deity of the hand, the Beast, perhaps explaining why Elektra looks as young as she does. Daredevil swoops on in to try and stop the bloodshed, and Elektra even lets one of the thugs go, saying that it's time that he warn his boss at the third ring that they're coming for him. Oh, do you get it now? Third ring, 3 rings, inside of them lies a bullseye, ha ha ha. It also seems too that Elektra didn't just come to help out of the kindness of her heart, she actually tries to extend to Daredevil an offer, join her and live young and beautiful forever. And I mean, if that doesn't sound like a devil's deal, I certainly don't know what does. The main third ring's thug ends up making his way back to Bullseye and tells him that they have Daredevil and Elektra problem. Shockingly, Bullseye isn't upset at all, quite the opposite, he's overjoyed to be reunited with 2 people who were so important to him in his life. He also feels that there's no way the good guys will be able to stop him, as he has already hooked up Tyra to a machine that he's using to sap away her amazing light powers for his grand master plan, whatever that might actually end up being. And as the comic comes to a close, it's actually Foggy Nelson who ends up calling up Daredevil with some insight from his government contact. Apparently, it seems that after all those heroes lost their abilities, Uncle Sam started up something called the New Warriors Project, only, these new warriors might actually last longer than just a couple volumes. I digress. Basically, the government was hoping an infusion of brand new superpowered individuals created in the same way that old heroes were created back in the Golden Age might give them the edge in this war with the DBs. That included stocking up on a bunch of radioactive isotope, and as the comic comes to a close, we can see that Bullseye and the Third Ring have stolen a massive shipment of radioactive material, and they plan to turn it on the whole city as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Daredevil Cold Day in Hell issue number 2, everybody, and once again, Charles Soule and company really managed to deliver a very fun, very exciting take on a pretty old comic book concept at this point. I dare say I'm actually getting a lot of really positive Dark Knight Returns vibes off this, which is fitting considering that Frank Miller not only wrote that story, but also ended up writing some of the most important and impactful Daredevil stories of all time, yet never actually wrote an old man Daredevil piece himself. McNiven's art continues to be great. Like I said, this is an art-forward series, and you can really feel that in all the small little flourishes. At only 3 issues too, this story is also really wasting no time either. It's got a real breakneck pace to it, but in the best way possible. More than anything though, I think what I really appreciate about this story is actually Old Man Bullseye's motivation for starting trouble again all these years later. Basically, he's bored. He's an old man who's trying to recapture the good old days at any cost. It's a beautiful juxtaposition with Matt, who is of course only doing all of this because he is trying to atone for some sin he committed in his past, one connected to Elektra and probably Kingpin's death as well. There's also still the big mystery too surrounding what this war is that's making up the backbone of this series, who are the DBs and what it all means, and I'm very excited to read the last issue to see how it all ties together. Overall, I'd give this one another very positive 8.5 out of 10. Good stuff. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.